Hi guys, and welcome back to Tangy Tea of Life. I'm your host Veronica. My co-host Brittany could not be with us tonight, but we have a very special guest joining me at the table tonight. This is a special episode of Tangy Tea. I want all of you to really pay attention tonight for a very special topic. But first, I'm going to introduce my guest, Miss Ryedenna Simon-McQueen. Welcome to Tangy Tea, Miss McQueen.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Thank you.
Miss Ryedenna is a licensed professional counselor, supervisor, and licensed addiction counselor in the counseling field over 25 years, employed with Hope Health and Bruce Hall. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the table.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I'm so delighted to be here tonight, and as you were saying, talking about a specific topic and a very important topic for the community on tonight.
Yes, it is. And tonight, guys, we're going to be talking about depression and anxiety. And this topic is very important to me because I've been through it. And a lot of you have reached out to me through email inbox and asked to bring someone on the show to talk about mental health because it's so serious in our communities. So first, I would like to start off by saying that I've been through it. I've dealt with anxiety not too long ago. Not too long ago. It started last year. I was in a car accident. On top of being in that car accident in last February, on top of things that was going on in my personal life, and it brought on that anxiety, like all the stress that was on top of, and that just brought on the anxiety. And I've been to the ER maybe twice thinking something was going on because it was like tightness in my chest.
Absolutely.
Thinking that, oh my God, am I having a heart attack? But to kind of find out it was all of that stress that I've been going through. So that brought on the anxiety. So we have to know more about it, and you're here to help us with that.
Okay. Again, I'm delighted to join Miss Veronica on this evening, and when you contacted me, I was like just so amazed, of all the great things that you were doing, but even amazed even the more for you hitting on two important topics that the community needs to be more aware of. Awareness is the key. Because we cannot move forward in our lives. We can't do anything different unless we first of all know where we are.
Right.
And identifying where we are can determine where we can go. Depression, I want to start off in talking about that. And it's otherwise known as major depressive disorder or clinical depression. That's what you would hear, in the counseling arena, or you would hear in your doctor's office, people will probably say, I am depressed, and putting a label on that self, but depression itself is a clinical topic, and it's a disorder. Major depressive disorder is also associated with high mortality, which is much accounted for suicidal rates. That's why it is important for us to talk about it, because that awareness about depression and also anxiety will help us even understand more of what people are dealing with that may have the thoughts of suicide. Suicide is critical because people, individuals between the ages of 25 to 34, suicide is listed as the number one cause of death. For individuals between the ages of 15 and 24, it's the third highest rate among those causes of death. An individual will not just have the intent of suicide, but individuals that actually will go through the act of with suicide would have a means to do it. They would also have a plan to do it. So listen when people are talking about how they are feeling. When it comes to depression, there are primarily 9 indicators of depression. So, and please keep in mind, depression is just not sadness. Sadness will not cause an individual to stay in the bed for several days. When we're talking about at least a 2-week period of time, when you're talking about depression, when you're talking about the symptoms of anxiety, they will Being sad or just being happy or being just out of sorts will not cause an individual to be totally restless for a 2-week period of time. So we're talking about time span here, first of all. And the other thing we're talking about is how it affects an individual's daily life in order to function. It impairs your ability to function in the home. It will impair your ability to function in a job setting. And it does have, an individual will experience impaired thinking and judgment when it comes to anxiety and depression. They are 9 indicators, like I was saying earlier. And among those 9 indicators, the first one, if a person is diagnosed with clinical depression, would be their level of interest and their pleasure. You may see an individual may just go through the process of doing things because someone may ask them about doing it and just go through the motion more or less. But that individual may have had interests and pleasures and activities in the past that they were very interested in doing, but they can't even get out of the bed, some of them. Yeah, those individuals that are struggling with that, that's one of the primary, when you're talking again about depression, either they have to have that indicator among the 9 or something about their mood. Their mood has greatly declined. We're not just talking about sadness again, we're talking about a very low mood to the point of some individuals may even talk about being hopeless. So that's critical when you're talking about depression. Another indicator is their sleep pattern. An individual may have difficulty going to sleep, staying asleep, or sleeping too much. And when we're saying sleeping too much, we're talking about staying in the bed that is really, really difficult and challenging to even get out of the bed. Of course, another indicator is their energy level. You may hear a person say they're tired. They're tired all the time. You say, well, if they didn't sleep, of course they're going to be tired. But then you also have those individuals that sleep a whole lot, and when they get up, they are still tired. Right. So their energy level, is greatly affected by what's happening. Another one of the criteria or the indicators with depression is their appetite. The appetite has greatly shifted. So, of course, their weight is going to shift. You may have some individuals that may have not only a low appetite, but stop eating altogether. You may notice, well, God, they didn't eat any dinner yesterday. They didn't eat any dinner 2 days ago. And it may come to the point they may eat 1 meal a day and only eat bites of food. On the other spectrum, you may have an individual that's overeating, and I like to call it stress eating. Every time they think about that trigger, whatever is going on that's making them stressful, they may be eating, even those that may even have anxiety. Yeah. All right. Another indicator is their self-worth. With the self-worth, an individual may feel as though they are a failure. And they start talking about their failure. They can't accomplish anything. They can't achieve anything. And the other side of that spectrum, they're thinking that their family members feel as if they're a failure. They felt that they have failed their families in some way, and they cannot live up to those expectations. And of course, there are a lot of times in life, sometimes expectations of others are set really high. So the bar may be high, but that individual is not thinking about who set the bar, right. Just the fact that they are a failure at that point. Yeah. Another indicator is concentration. Level of concentration is greatly challenged. Just say you may like reading a book. Reading may be your hobby. You may like watching certain TV shows. You can't sit through a whole TV show. The level of concentration is out the window. That individual is really fidgety. Even engaging in a conversation, their mind is going somewhere else. They may be here in South Carolina, but their mind is actually in Las Vegas or California somewhere. Right. Their concentration level has been greatly compromised. Another indicator is, of course, movement, where an individual may be moving very slow, or their conversation and their speech pattern is slow, and someone else has noticed it. Mm-hmm. On the other spectrum, that person may be fidgety. They're all over the place, just bouncing. It's like, what is going on? Even though you're saying, well, they got a depressed mood, how they're moving around, because they don't want to think. They don't want to and cannot change the channel of what is happening. And the last indicator that is very important is the suicidality. It's that person having thoughts about suicide. They're talking about suicide. Their conversations, their dress may have appeared to be different. At that point, when that person has a means to harm themselves, and they have a plan to harm themselves, and they have the intent to harm themselves. That is very important. So listen, and you may say, well, what do you do with a person? How do you try to address suicide? Right. Talk about it. Ask the question. And you say, well, that may make that person kill. No, they really want to talk about it. That's why they're letting someone know, I have thoughts about this thing. Right. There are other individuals that may not intend to actually commit suicide, to kill themselves, but they actually exercise self-harm. And when we talk about self-harm, these are the individuals that may be cutters. Someone has a history of cutting themselves. An individual that may take cigarette butts and may even burn themselves on the arm. They may do something that's going to inflict some type of pain. And you say, well, this person don't want to kill themselves, but they're harming themselves. In their mindset, they are thinking at that moment that whatever physical pain they are encountering is better than the emotional pain that they have experienced. Mm-hmm. So that's where they are coming from. And you will hear them say, this is my method of releasing, especially with the cutting. And those that may have had a history in cutting, please be aware. People have really gotten away from cutting themselves on the arm because they don't want to be noticed. And then, of course, you will see it. Right. You may see some people may wear tons and tons of bracelets, and I don't see any cuts. They may be cutting on the thighs. They may be cutting on their stomach areas. They may be cutting on their upper arms, different locations where you may not even notice or may see. But if they're talking about it, the other thing is you say, well, I cleared the bathroom. I don't have any razors. I don't, have any sharp things. That's I put away all the knives. If an individual desires to cut and they're thinking about cutting, they can use a paper clip. Wow. They can use a pencil. They will use an ink pen. They can make a sharp object. What do you do when those individuals, again, has that history and they are thinking about it? Again, talk about it. Talk about it, ask questions, and try as much as possible to be non-judgmental because you want to engage them. Support is the key. They have to know that someone is greatly concerned and not going to push away. Just real quickly, I want to give you the 7. And when you think about the depression, any individual that's even listening to this, and it's important that you think, I can't diagnose myself, but just know the indicators that I was talking about, they have to have at least 5. And again, out of the 5, one has to be their level of interest and pleasure, and of course, their mood, along with 4 of the other indicators.
Okay, so Ms. Ryedenna, before you get into the 7 signs of anxiety,
okay,
I feel like, and you can quote me if I'm right or wrong, I feel like depression comes from a lot of different things. Like a lot of people are going through so much, they're worrying about all kind of things that are going on in their personal life, like finances. You have maybe couples fighting in the home over finances. Maybe they're going through a divorce or worrying about their kids, bullying, all types of things that are going on. They're wondering how they're going to pay their bills. All of those things can cause depression, right?
They all contribute to depression. There is no one cause of depression. There may be some individuals, you may hear some women be diagnosed with postpartum depression, after they have a child. You may hear that some people are struggling with, and that falls upon an atypical depression. You may hear some people struggle, as I said, with postpartum depression, and you may hear some struggle with SAD, SAD, seasonal affective disorder. Meaning certain times of the year, like in the winter months especially, and you may have some people in certain states, especially in Alaska, where it's dark so many months, that are really, really struggling with depression. But again, there are so many contributing factors. You want to think about the fact that a person's biology, their chemical makeup is a huge factor, because all of us have body chemistry and there's chemistry in our brain. And when our brain, something traumatic has even happened, it shifts our brain chemistry. When we experience different things, they shift our brain chemistry. So just like an individual that may be anemic, if they are anemic, that's an iron deficiency, right? And so there's no stigma with a person that's having an iron deficiency and they may be prescribed what? Iron tablets. That's because something has happened and there's a deficiency in their bodies. In our bodies, there is a deficiency. It may be for serotonin. That's one of the chemicals that keeps us balanced. Okay. Also, with our dopamine, makes us pleasure. Okay. A person struggling with depression, their dopamine is low. So that particular individual may have to actually, if depending on what's going on, may have to have a treatment to include pharmacology, meaning medication, to help with that balance. Along with those indicators, not just the biology, you got to think about genetics. A lot of times you may go to the office, a doctor's office, and they may ask you, is anybody in your family has heart disease, has had a stroke, may have battled with depression? Those are the things, schizophrenia, those are the things that you want to be in tune with, because it doesn't say that you will have to be diagnosed with depression. It just indicates that you are at a high level of the probability to may have some complications if you don't practice great coping skills. Another indicator is environmental factors, as you were saying before, divorce, especially teenagers, and that's why we need to really talk about this. Everybody does not take things the same way. You and your partner may be going through something. Your parents may be going through something. You all know the elements of why the divorce. With children, a lot of times, they blame themselves. So what happens, they get in the shutdown mode. Yeah. They may start isolating, and the next thing you know, they may encounter these symptoms of depression. Another environmental factor, as you were saying earlier before, about trauma. It could be a car accident. Individuals that may encounter childhood trauma, and they may have been a container to just try to forget about that. They try to numb those things, and over a period of time even start isolating, and it becomes a way of them to cope. So again, those factors are greatly important, and we need to consider it. The other factor is psychological. After we start doing certain things, we start repeating those things because of what we believe. When I believe it, I do it. When I do it, this is a consequence. If the consequence to me is positive or is giving me some type of sense of feeling of where I am, it makes me feel okay, I will repeat that behavior. So those are the things we need to keep in mind: the biology, the genetics, environmental factors, and also the physiological piece of it with our psychology and what's happening.
Wow, it's a lot.
It is. It is a complex disorder. It is real. Depression is real, and I love that commercial by Simon-McQueen. It says depression hurts, and it does. It doesn't just hurt the individual, but it hurts the whole family structure. It hurts everybody that's involved, because again, when a person is battling with clinical depression, it affects their daily functioning. Okay.
And it's like sometimes you don't even know that you're in that depression mood. Am I saying it right?
You
Depression.
absolutely. You don't know if if your mood has shifted, because what has happened, again, when a person is battling with clinical depression, it's over a period of 2 weeks or more. Individuals that you may have heard the term dysthymia. That's an individual that may have low-grade depression. They may not have all the symptoms, but they have gone that way for like a 2-year period of time. So individuals that's battling with dysthymia, and they've gone through this for two years of time, they get to the point to not remember what happiness is, what it feels like. So you may say, well, come on, go to the movies. It's like, well, why go to the movies? That's really what they are thinking because of their mood. And it has happened for such a period of time. They are in that setting until some things change. And that's where it comes in with the treatment. Treatment is very, very important. There are non-pharmacological treatments, and then there are some with the medication. With medication, some persons can be actually prescribed an SSRI to deal with the depression, again, with that neurotransmitters, those chemicals in the brain. That will be great for them. Some people, you may have heard, someone is on Paxil, somebody may have been on Prozac, some Balta. Those are the the antidepressants that are prescribed to help them with that. But in addition to that, there are things that we can do. One, exercise. Exercise is extremely important because exercise changes the physiological aspect of an individual. Exercise, if I'm changing the physiological aspect, it's going to change my brain chemistry. If my brain chemistry changes, it changes my mood. So that's all of them are connected. They are so connected. Nutrition is very, very, very important. There's no magical diet to be on, but one thing is for sure. Vegetables and fruits are phenomenal with people that are battling with any type of mood disorder. And the other thing is support. Support, support, support. It has to happen if it's not in place, because one of the things about depression and also anxiety, we have to connect. When we don't connect, what do? We isolate. When we isolate, our thought pattern is different. Our thought pattern becomes negative. Our thought pattern becomes self-defeating. And when it's self-defeating, my responses are going to be different.
Wow. So how long can this go on before someone recognizes that they have this
Depression.
Yeah,
okay. It can go on for a while because, again, remember I said that some people actually have a low grade of depression.
Right.
And they may have, let's just say, 3 symptoms versus 5.
Right.
You know, okay.
I see a few on there from me.
There you go. They may have the low mood. Their appetite may have shift. And when their appetite shift, their energy level may shift. They may not have anything else, but they may have been in that mode for 2 years. You say, well, why don't they ask for help? One of the reasons a lot of people do not ask for help is because of the stigma. It's okay for somebody to say, well, I have heart disease. The family's going to support that person. The family's going to encourage them to do exercise. They're going to encourage them to even change the diet. The whole family may even change their diet. That person has a heart condition. It's okay, and it's gotten acceptable to say, I'm a diabetic. Okay, that family's going to stay on point to make sure what's going on. You're exercising, you're eating right, you're taking your medication. But if a person say, I'm depressed, the first thing some people may say, well, I'm not crazy. It's where that person is at that moment. And if help is not sought, then it can get worse. It's a chronic disease. Some people, to keep in mind, that are battling with depression may actually end up experiencing or displaying physical symptoms and have chronic pain. In addition to that, you may have some individuals that struggle with digestive issues because, again, of depression. Everything is slowing down. The mood's slowing down. Your appetite slowed down. You don't have that energy. So what is going to happen? Your digestive system is going to slow down.
And you're definitely hurting yourself.
You're hurting yourself.
Like your health is going downhill.
But that individual is not seeing that. And again, remember, if they have lost interest in activities and things they used to do, they have lost interest in self. If they are saying that they are a failure, they don't have self-worth, their self-esteem have become lowered, again, they're not going to see some of those symptoms. So it's going to be very important that family members key in, hone in, and give support. Not point fingers, but say, what can you do to help? Something that we talked before the show about what can happen to make a person even feel comfortable engaging in the counseling process. One of the things is, again, not being judgmental and saying that we are in this together. Even when you're going to counseling, so that person will not feel like they are the problem in the family, we also offer family counseling because it does affect the whole family. There are elements.
And that's the thing. A lot of people, and it's very bad in our, community, in the African American community.
Absolutely.
A lot of us feel like we don't need help, or we're scared to seek out for that help. We don't want someone to think that we're crazy because we're going to see a counselor. We don't want to feel like we're losing our mind. So, what advice can you give people to reach out? Reach out for help. It's okay to sit down and talk to a counselor. That's what you all are here for. God made that wisdom for you all to have that training
Okay. One of the things, like you said, it is okay to make them think it is okay. One of the things that I share with individuals that come into my office is that when they present with whatever issues that they are, I tell them, we come here to talk. And I am an agent of change, but I also tell them that you are in the driver's seat. You are the one that's going to do the work, but I'm going to push you, I'm going to support you, and I'm going to be here. One of the things that that we can utilize in the community to hopefully get individuals that need some assistance is to let them know that they're not alone. That's one of the key things to know. They are not alone with this battle. Again, it's a common disorder, and it's a serious disorder. Mm-hmm. They are not alone. Letting them know that we're going to be neutral. And that's what I do. When they come in and talk, I let them know I'm listening, but one of the things, I'm going to offer some supportive guidance. I'm going to be here to coach you along the way and give you some suggestions, but this is the thing, you don't have to do any of them at all. Just show up. And that's one of the things that that's very important, that even if you have a friend, you have a family member that is engaging in counseling, congratulate them for going up, taking that step, because that's a huge step. That is humongous, just to voice where they are, regardless of whatever is going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So guys, if you're out, I know you're out there, you're listening and you're going through, you feel like you have any of these signs of depression, make sure you reach out. But at the end of this interview, of course, we're going to have Miss Ryedenna to give out her information if you're in the South Carolina area.
Okay.
So
one of the things I do want to share is, if there's anyone, even at this point, that has been struggling with thoughts of suicide, there's always 1-800 hotlines that you can call to talk to someone. Talk to someone, again, talk to someone. Don't be afraid to go to the emergency room. Mm-hmm. One of the numbers that you can call and have access is 1-800-273-8255. Again, 1-800-273-8255. So again, there is a whole listing. And what is happening now, even with PD Mental Health in our area here, PD Mental Health has taken off to actually have emergency support teams that are on call, that if an individual is dealing with suicidal thoughts, they have even tried to do an attempt, that they have a team that actually goes out. An emergency team goes out with the police to talk with the individuals to assist them in that area.
So do you think, because a lot of our youth are going through a lot of pain, they're suffering in silence. I had someone reach out to me, just saying that their child wanted to commit suicide. What advice, what can we do as parents to protect our kids from thinking that way, to think that life is so bad that they have to take their life?
Okay.
What do you think what are we missing?
One of the things as a parent, again, is being supportive and to listen. Take that time. One of the things that I know when growing up that happened so much in my family is we had Sunday dinners. Now because of economy, because of so many different things that are happening in our lifestyles and the type of job individuals work, their work hours have greatly changed. The demands of the family has changed. Where you may have had a mom in the home and dad is working. Now you may have mom having 2 jobs and dad, you're rotating, and you like 2 ships passing in the night. Yeah. So one of the things is making that time. Making time is crucial. Mm-hmm. And when I say make time, make time. I have a 7-year-old grandson, and one of our things that we do, I take him to school every day. His mom takes my other grandson to school, and she can take him, but that's our time. And he'll tell his mother, no, my mom taking me to school. Yeah. That is our time that we bond. And when we are bonding in the car, I'm listening to, what he is listening to on YouTube. I'm listening to the songs that they are singing and everything. I'm asking him questions. I'm asking him in the evening, how was your day at school? Take time to ask something simple. Get into their world. Find out what's interesting to them. Because sometimes they don't think no one is really listening. Yeah. Ask them their favorite colors. One important thing I love to do, and when I'm working with families, take them on a date. Take that particular child, if you have 5 kids, if you have 7 kids, if you have 2 children, take that particular child, during the course of the month, somewhere special that you and that child will just go. They know that you are listening. You say, well, they don't even want to go. Tell them, come on, get in the car. Come on, ride with me. Make it special. Do some of those little special types of things. That is very, very important. The other thing is, please listen to them. If they're telling you that they're being bullied, which is so crucial, please listen. Listen. It's so sad that does happen in the school, and it's even happening even the more. They have so many different types of programs, and some of the kids say that's kind of nerdy, I don't want to be involved. Yeah. Well, then you listen and let them know that it's okay to talk about it, and validate how they feel. Moms, validate your daughters. Fathers, validate your sons. Because if we do not validate our children, someone else out there will. And again, that connects to their self-esteem. Dads, validate your daughters. Dads, show them what guys should be doing, opening the door. Go back, chivalry is not dead. Go back to those little simple things. Mom, salute your sons, salute your kings. Let them know how handsome they are. Let them know when you're thinking about a girl, these are things you think about. It is okay to be smart. You have a lot of children that have come back into their grades and not do their homework, and even if they are really smart kids, thinking it's not a cool thing to be smart because they're picked on. So again, listen to what they're saying. Take that time. Time is crucial. Time is important. You say, well, I got this job and I got to work. Okay, you have to take time. Yeah. What do you want someone to say? Your child is in the emergency room because this has happened, and you spend hours in the emergency room, but you haven't spent hours just going on a date to eat and go to a movie.
Wow, that's big, and that's very important, because I know I've fallen short when it comes to that, because it's it feel like I have so much going on in my life that I feel I fall short when it comes to the kids and being there, and it goes back to what you were saying as far as like back in the day, like when I was coming up, we sat at the table as a family and ate dinner, ate breakfast, dinner, like we all of us sat at the table together. Now it's like, okay, I fixed the plate up, man, sit there and eat your food. I'm gonna go in here and get on the computer and do what I have to do, and we don't take that time. We don't take that family time like back in the day. And it was so important for them. Just think about Christmas dinners and think about birthdays, all those different things they celebrate. And think about too, they didn't have as much as we do when it came to celebration, but they made it a celebration. I just had this past week, a lady came in and was sharing in her session that her child did not come Christmas. And I'm like, what do you mean you didn't come to your house and visit Christmas? Yeah. He said, no, Ryedenna, they don't come for my birthday. No one called and said anything. And Christmas went by, Thanksgiving came by. I'm like, are they in another state? Have they moved? They live close by. And what am I saying? That has been lost in the family. Oh, yeah. It has been lost in the family. And I think as a community, same thing at the community. In communities, you would have the pastor talk about report cards. You would have the different auxiliaries talk about doing things with the children, little junior missionaries and all those things. And you kind of, you say, well, kids don't want to do. Okay, what did they do back then? Right, to draw us You got it. Yeah. So we have to sometimes go just back to some of the basics, just to get involved. Involvement is a big piece. So we have to stop as parents. We have to stop and pay attention to our kids. Yes, we do. Because it seems like we're letting technology raise them. Oh, absolutely. And then the other thing is when their friends come over. One of the things that I did, as a single mom, I always had to have some place that had a den. And my rationale was so that my kids could invite their friends. Mm-hmm. That way I knew where my girls were. And their friends, I have the colloquial name Aunt Dina. So, you have so many people call me Aunt Dina. Yeah. But these are friends of my children. Right. Why? Because I made my home that place, and then I would go in the den. They just would not be there. I would go in the den and engage with them. Even the same thing now. And of course, kids have a different mindset. But then what are we doing to pull them and reel them back in?
You know, we have to be that parent, and we have to take charge, and not just, of course, scream and yell when they do wrong, but what are the things they're doing right? Take that time. And then just like even this show, which is awesome, is because you have a son. You know, having him even involved, having him even to even do the lights and having the taping and having them involved.
Yeah.
You know, and think about it. When our four parents were doing things, when they were on a farm, they actually had children that actually quit school to work.
Right.
What did they do? They had them involved in
Yeah.
what they were doing. I'm not saying have them quit school, but what I am saying is, again, that involvement is crucial.
Yeah. Wow. That's big. That really have me thinking, like, I've got to step my game up. I have to do more
Yeah.
to be involved. Because
Absolutely.
we don't want them to go down that wrong road.
We don't.
We don't want other people raising our kids,
Mhm.
putting things in their ear, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm talking about, when I say other people,
Yes.
the streets.
There you go. Think about it. The power of a gang. The power of a gang is that I'm here for you, regardless. The power of a gang is no matter what, I got your back. The power of a gang is you look up, somebody is here.
Yeah,
That's the power of a gang. What about family?
right.
They have to feel that. The power of the gang is, you know, of course, giving them the accolades that they would even want, giving them that rank and giving them that status. What are we doing in our family to give them that rank and give them that status? How are we going to pull our children back in? Like you said, because it is on their mind. They're hearing about suicide. They're hearing about bullying. Don't you hear little small kids talk about, I was bullied?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
10 years ago, did you hear kids talk about they was being bullied in school? No.
not
So
as-
the awareness is there. We have to bring family back as a piece for awareness. What can we do to pull families back? Back in the day, softball. You got a whole family playing softball, engaging.
Yeah.
What do you see? We're having to pay this
Yeah.
fee and go into the athletic places in the community, but we got to get engaged. That is so important. If we don't get engaged, then things will fall apart.
Right.